Morning, everybody. This is the first video in which will be a series based on the car behind me. That car is a Subaru Baja, which, for those of you that don't know, is a truck that Subaru made in the early 2000s, specifically between 2003 and 2006. It did not sell very well, so it was discontinued. During its production run, according to the internet, Subaru produced about 30,000 Bajas. This is an 06 Baja, so this is the last year they made it. The Subaru Baja, I don't know if you can tell, it's a truck. It has a truck bed. It's basically an Outback, just with the back cut off. So why a Subaru Baja? Well, number one, like I said, they only made about 30,000. So at this point, it's 2025. The car is 20 years old. And with the limited production run, it's a rare-ish car. Kind of has a cult following. The predecessor to it was the Brat, which if I could ever find one that wasn't a complete box, we'd be doing videos on that, but I can't. Anyway. Of the 30,000 that Subaru produced, about 5,000 of them were turboed models. This one being a turbo model. So the turbo model basically had the WRX motor, similar to the Legacy GT, the Outback XT, the Forester XT, that whole, turbocharged line in the, 2000s, through today. They still make the Outback XT, and obviously the WRX. So 2006 Baja, turbocharged. About 5,000 of them were turbocharged. Of that 5,000, or I should say, of that 30,000, Subaru made, a considerable amount of 5-speeds. Because we are talking early 2000s where people still, or companies still produced manual cars. This is also a 5-speed. So at this point, we have a 2006 Subaru Baja, 30,000 made. Of that 30,000, about 5,000 of them during the production run were turbocharged. Of that 5,000, let's say half were 5-speed. The majority of the turbocharged cars were the automatic, or what came later was a sport shift. So we're looking at, and I don't have any facts on this, but just ballpark, 2,500 of the production run turbocharged 5-speeds. And this is an 06. Last year they made it. So it's a pretty rare version of a car that is pretty rare. I've been looking for this car for a long time. Probably a decade. This specific iteration of this car. Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, years ago, auction houses. This particular one came up on Copart about a month ago. The auction came up about 3 weeks ago, and I let it go. I had some last minute reservations, which were unwarranted. I should have bid, I didn't, and it sold. I'm a patient person, so I figured, oh well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Well, sure enough, about a week later, came back up. So the auction specifics were it had a reserve. This was a donated vehicle, and the seller had set a reserve price. So last week, the auction came back up, and I bid on it. A little back and forth. Final sale price was $875, but the reserve was not met. Seller contacted me after, as the winning bidder. The reserve, to the best of my knowledge, was somewhere around $1,600 and $1,700. After a little back and forth, final agreed to price was $1,500 roundabout. So you add in that $1,500, another $500 for document fees, Copart fees, all that stuff, and about $500 to get it here, because this thing came from Connecticut. So we're at about $2,500, all said and done, for this 06 Subaru Baja turboed 5-speed. So what do I know about the car? Not a whole lot. 2 owners before me. First owner had it for a very long time, from brand new. They bought it brand new, and they had it, as best I can see, up until 2018 or so. Then it was sold, and the second owner, well, I should say it was sold, and the last time it was registered in Connecticut was 2021. I've taken a little peek inside the car. It's really dirty. There's, and I'm just guessing, but there's like a walking cane. There's some also like bicycling attire. So, I'm just guessing, given 2021, we're talking COVID times, the cane. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the person passed away. It was donated. It clearly has not been driven in a while. So I don't know. It's here now. Like I said, it's pretty dirty inside. We're going to I'm going to gut the inside of it. A lot of junk. I've seen worse, but there's a lot of junk, and it looks like some mice were living in it at some point. So we're going to vacuum it. I'll probably pull the carpet. I'm going to pull all the seats, as much trim as I can get out. I'm going to run the ozone machine. And yeah, that's first off. Second thing, we're going to look at the motor. Obviously, it does not run, or at least as far as Copart got with it, it doesn't start. Doesn't mean it doesn't run, just it doesn't start. I've taken a real quick look in the engine bay. The battery was stone dead. Couldn't even charge it. So I picked up a new battery for it. Oil is up to level. It's not watery. Doesn't smell bad. It looks fairly good. Just like, in the realm of, a good oil. It's not black. Doesn't smell burnt or anything. Coolant There's no coolant in the upper chamber. It looks like the radiator has some coolant in it. The overflow bottle does have the green coolant, and it's not. I don't see any, like oily residue or anything, which is good, which is positive. And the engine, the motor, looks untouched. No, doesn't look like anybody was modding this thing, which was also a pretty big win, I think. It has 140,000 ish miles on it. So I'm just going to take a guess. Maybe it was a head gasket. Given the slight lack of coolant, the miles, the year, this particular motor, that's my guess. If I'm lucky, maybe it started overheating, they stopped driving it, never got back to it, whatever happened, and then it sat. Worst case, they started overheating, they kept driving it, and something worse has happened. But we're going to pull the plugs. I'm going to try to crank it over by hand. Just some preliminary, very noisy bird. They're not happy with me being here. But anyway, we're going to get it cleaned up. Going to get some air in the tires and put it up on some little pavers here to get it up out of the dirt. And so I hope if you're watching this and you like Bajas, you like Subarus, this should be a pretty interesting video series. The goal is to turn this into a daily driver. We replace my current daily driver, which is, although I love it, it's a 2000 Outback. So, it's getting up there. They're all getting up there, but that one a little bit more. So anyway, I'm going to change and we'll get to doing some cleaning. All right.